Mosquitoes. Well, the mosquitoes are too bad. I gotta get back in the garage and spun the tires there. And in case you're wondering, I do wear pajama pants all the time. Like all the time. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing something I haven't done before, but I'm pretty confident we can get this knocked off in a couple hours. We're going to be doing the rear U-joints on the rear shaft on this 2014 Can Am Commander. I have the U-joints right here, so let's take it apart and get started. All right, first order of business, let's get this open. And the U-joints we are going to be changing today are that one right there and the one that's further up. So my understanding is we're going to have to unbolt the differential, move the differential back. I know it's a lot easier if you take the box off, but to do that I would need some help. I'm by myself, so I don't have anybody help me lift the box off. So I will be doing it in this little section here and on the interior. So we're going to have to disassemble this, and that's how we're going to do that today. So let's get started. So there's an insanely amount of little room we have in here. There's the U-joint we have to change down there. There's a nut this way that's actually on the, I believe, the output shaft for the transmission. So I think that's a 10 or 13 mil nut. So I'm going to see if I can get a small open end crescent in there, and we're going to try and remove that nut. I'll be totally honest, that went super well. I had no idea it was going to be that easy. So there's your bolt that came out, and there's the washer. There's probably some pretty good torque on that washer because I don't know if they're supposed to be coned like that or cupped, but yeah, 13 mil open end wrench. I used a long one to break it free, and then I used a short one, and that took, honestly guys, 4 minutes. Off to a good start. So here's where we're at now. So what I've gone and done, I've gone and taken off the top bracket that was positioned here. And the only reason why I did that is so I can have better access to the differential instead of trying to slide it backwards inside of these, because the bracket presses onto here. So apparently it will slide backwards, but I don't want to fight with it since it's my first time and I might have to wiggle it back and forth. So the only thing, the only comment I'm going to make is when you're removing the bolts for the bracket, keep one bolt in one of the holes on each side, because this bar here is what holds the whole box. And I fear if you take all the bolts out here and you accidentally hit this, the whole thing might just flip up and hit you in the face. Might be bolted somewhere else, but I don't think so. And the only reason why I noticed that is because if you look on this side, Those bolt holes are no longer aligned. So the only thing we have left is a bolt down there and a bolt down there, and we're in business. We can pull that diff back. All right, I'm not going to lie, those bottom bolts were a real pain in the butt. I had to use a breaker bar to get them loose, and there's not a lot of room in there, so as you can see, there's some corrosion, I guess because they sit in water or whatever else. So I will be putting some Never Sees on those guys. As for the shaft, as soon as I loosened the differential and I just grabbed it and I just pulled it back, the shaft fell. That is honest right there. And you notice I just covered the axle boot with a rag just to make sure that we don't cut it on that back sharp steel piece there. So if I can get in there to show you guys, there's the transmission. That's where it comes out of, so that'll need some cleaning. I don't have a new wear sleeve for the drive shaft, but so here's our drive shaft. This is the end that was in the differential. It's nice and tight, and then of course this is the one that was giving me the clunking issue. I'm hoping it was. All right, guys, here we are. I've got it apart. Two things. I misdiagnosed it. The U-joints are fine. Seeing as how easy that shaft comes out, I am not going to touch the U-joints. I'm not going to change them. I'm going to save myself that money for now. Probably should change them, but I'm not going to. And number two, the clunk was actually in the slip yoke right here. Had a lot of play in that slip yoke, and if you look inside, that sucker is dry. Where'd the grease go? Why is there no grease? I honestly don't understand. There could not have been much grease in there to start off with. That doesn't make any sense to me. Also, if I'm looking at the transmission slip yoke, there is a little bit of wear on the inside. I don't know if that's anything to be concerned about currently, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to put it back together. This isn't that big of a job to take it apart again if I have to. This one over here, the slip yoke on the differential side, there's some shiny spots, but it's still, I cannot feel anything with my fingernail. So I know that this wear sleeve is still good. So I'm not concerned about that. Again, that one was very dry as well. So I'm not sure if that's lack of lubricant in the differential, even though it shows full, or it's full when I pull the plug, or if, I'm really not sure. But we're going to go ahead, we're going to grease this with some special drive shaft grease that I actually have. It is a high temperature grease for slip yokes. And we're going to see if we can get that clamp back on. Ooh, something else real quick. When reassembling, make sure that your drive shaft phasing is correct. Always try and notice what angle or where this joint is located with this joint. And you must put it back in the same way. If I were to slide this in offset like this, that could cause some serious issues, vibrations, and or premature wear of the actual U-joints. So want to make sure that that phasing or that reassembly is correct. All right, we're ready to put this shaft back in. So we have it all cleaned up. I cleaned up the transmission side. So this is a dry yoke. It's not submersed in any kind of fluid when it's pressed in. So I have added some high temperature grease to that yoke. As we can see, everything is nice and tight. It's great. Our slip yoke now slides nice. No more play. And this is the wet side, like I showed you a while ago. The wear sleeve is in really good shape. And I also cleaned up the Loctite that was on these. Well, actually, the one at the transmission, this guy right here, did not have any Loctite on it. The one on the differential side did. That would be this guy right here. So I made sure to clean up the Loctite. And I'm going to apply a medium strength Loctite to these bolts. From what I understand, the transmission one sometimes backs out and you end up with devastation. So we don't want that to happen. I also cleaned up the surfaces that are on the machine itself. It's very easy. Tip the differential up. I took a vacuum cleaner with a brush, making sure not to drop any sand inside, cleaned up that surface there, cleaned up the seal, so this slides in nice and easy. And we're going to go over there and we're going to put this sucker back in there and hopefully get these bolts in with some Loctite, get her cranked down and see what happens. All right, guys, so the rear differential on this side-by-side as well as the transmission that we're changing the oil in right now takes a 75 140. Here I have a Lucas product. I've never used Lucas before. I've heard some good things about it. And if you see, because of the really tight area we're going to be trying to get into, I have some water line, some plastic water line, and this little nipple. And I heated the tip of it and I pressed it on. So we're just going to be tipping this upside down and trying to fill it with this. All right, guys, we got everything bolted back together. We have our differential bolts back in. And this is pretty simple. To take this brace off, guys, there's just one bolt here, one there, one on the other side, one on the other side. The most difficult part about removing this brace is getting it back into place because, like I said on the previous little clip there, you keep a bolt in there, but I'd probably keep 2 bolts in because these arms for the box move, and it's a real pain in the butt to line them back up. But getting everything else was pretty simple. Tighten down the yoke over there. That's pretty good. The transmission yoke went pretty well as well. So I think we are ready to test this guy out. So there you have it, my fellow ATV, UTV enthusiasts. We just removed the shaft. Of course, originally I was removing it for the U-joints, and turned out it wasn't the U-joints. So I save a bit of money there. Now some of you might be saying, well, dude, you had it apart. Why didn't you change them to begin with? In all honesty, they were perfect condition. There was no need to take them apart and spend the $140 on U-joints, whatever it was. But I'm quite pleased. Took it apart, got that slip yoke greased up. Got the front yoke at the transmission side all greased up. Bolts went back in. I'm telling you, if you got sausage fingers or big mitts, guy, you know what? Good luck, because I'm not a big guy, and that was tight. I'm telling you right now, you're in there. Had the box been off, probably a lot easier. Didn't have anybody help me take the box off, so there you go again. Very simple. Going to take this thing out for a ride. We're going to see what happens and see if that clunking noise is, I mean, I'll know as soon as I put it into gear and step on the throttle. So we're going to do that. We're just doing another video right now on the transmission fluid. So if you're interested in changing the transmission fluid, by all means, check out that video. And once I'm done the transmission fluid, I'm going to go for a ride and we're gonna have fun. So thanks a million, guys. I really appreciate you guys subscribing and liking these videos. If you like what you see here and you want a little bit more on the Can Am, go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.